Let's be honest, everybody just cares about the Big Four, and we got them with Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and Notre Dame. Alabama has been more driven than any other team in college football this season. That seems obvious. More driven, brought to you by Goodyear, helping you discover the road ahead. Goodyear, more driven, right to the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. David Pollack, ESPN's College Game Day, and the co-host of the College Football Podcast with Herb Street, Pollack, and my guy, Kevin Nagandi. You can get that anywhere you get podcasts. All right, first things first, what did you make of the four?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. You can't – I don't think any system's ever going to be perfect, and you got 13 people in a room. It's just funny. We were doing the show yesterday with me, Jesse and Kirk and Reese and Joey Galloway, and we got all of us sitting around a table, and our opinions might differ a little bit from each other and who we think are the best teams. So I think it's a tough task. I don't think it's as easy as everybody thinks when you have that many people making a decision. I'm fine with it. If you're going to compare Notre Dame and Texas A&M, the biggest difference to me was, you got North Carolina on the resume, and you have Clemson. When you look at A&M's second best win is Auburn. Their first best win, obviously, is a good win against Florida. So I think that they went with, they played 11 games, Notre Dame. They went 10-1, so they played more games, had more quality wins, and, that justification. And again, they're using their rankings, obviously, to decide how high North Carolina's ranked and how high Clemson's ranked. But I don't have a big discrepancy with it. If A&M was in, by the way, I wouldn't – if you thought A&M was better, I wouldn't necessarily disagree. I think Notre Dame and A&M are very comparable teams. If you put them side by side and go down the list, I think they compare to each other very favorable in a lot of ways.
David, looking at the playoff field, I know that Notre Dame beat Clemson earlier in the regular season without Trevor Lawrence, but Clemson got some get back yesterday. But it feels like Alabama and Clemson are on a different level than Ohio State and Notre Dame. Do you see it that way?
Yeah, and it's been like that, Chris, for like 20 years, bro. I mean, it's Groundhog's Day every year, and I'm reminded of that every championship weekend. And I do want to expand, and I have my own philosophy of what I want to do and how I want to expand, but in the end, you might get the same result. You still might get Alabama and Clemson, but I think you get so many more people involved and engaged in the playoff system, and less opt-outs and more give a dang, as opposed to some of the kids down the stretch that don't really care because they're not necessarily playing for a championship. But Alabama and Clemson, listen, look at the recruiting rankings every year. They're always near the top. Look at the quarterback position. They always coach that exceptionally well and have great guys at that spot and great dudes all over the field that they coach up and that make great. So Clemson and Alabama, again, here we go. It does feel like that, round 36.
What's your plan? You said you might have an alternative here. I'd love to hear it.
I would love to go. First of all, I take all the divisions out of college football. I don't need West. I don't need East. I don't need leaders. I don't need legends. I don't need any of that stuff. I want just the SEC, the Big Ten. You play an 8-game schedule against the other people in your conference. You play 4 out-of-conference games. 1 against the ACC, 1 against the Big 12, 1 against the SEC, 1 against the Pac-12, 1 against the Big 10. Like, you play against every other conference. So now every team has conference overlap. Every team played another conference. We have a better diagnosis of who's good from each conference, which conference truly is, the best, as opposed to, kind of guessing, especially this year where we had no out-of-conference games. And now you give the league championship champions, they get the automatic bids, and I expanded to 8, and so now we have 8 teams in the field. All 5 conference championships, all 5 conference champions are in for the major Power Fives, and now you take 3 at-large teams, however you want to slice it up, and however you think they are best. If I'm not in the Power Five, Zubin, I start my own playoff. Like, I'm not invited, dude. Like, this is not exclusive. This is exclusive to me. Like, it's excluding me. I'm not in this. So if I was them, I'd go create my own. I think it would be absolutely amazing to watch. Like, still schedule some of the other games, but have your own playoff at the end of the season. It would be amazing. Everybody would watch it. I know I would.
So you don't think that the Group 5 conferences should have an opportunity to compete against the big boys in your format or the
no, I think they should.
Okay.
But what we have right now, Chris, is not that. It's bullcrap. They're not going to get invited. There's no way, no how. Like, okay, let me draw a roadmap. Cincinnati, okay? For them to get in the college football playoff next year, first thing they're going to have to do is beat Georgia in the bowl game. Go out on a high note, right? Go out showing you, like, this team was legit they could compete with a top 10 team in college football. They're going to have to schedule 2 big dogs next year and have to beat them. Not 23, not 25. They're going to have to schedule at least one team, from another Power 5 that is going to be a top 10 type team that's incredibly respected, and then beat another well-respected team and run the table in your conference. Well, there also aren't a lot of teams in the Power 5 that want to schedule Cincinnati anymore. I mean, that's just – they don't want to do that because they know they're a really good football team. So I just think – and they have to run the table and be perfect. So it's not a good formula for them.
David, a report surfaced about Northwestern head coach Pat Fitzgerald over the weekend that if the right NFL team came calling, that he would be interested in taking the jump to the next level. Your thoughts on what Pat Fitzgerald would be as an NFL head coach?
I think he'd be great because he's great with people. He sets a great standard every day. He doesn't take mess off of anybody. I think the best coaches in the world, they put the right lane of the highway, the left lane of the highway, and they show you exactly the roadmap of how it is. Like, I'm going to come in every day, and I'm going to be between these lines because I know if I don't, that dude's going to kill me. Like, I'm going to lose respect. I'm not going to play. Like, there's ramifications. So I think he's so good with people. I think it would be a good decision. I would love to see him do it. Listen, it's great to see him in his alma mater at Northwestern. He's done some great things. That's a tough job, man. I mean, it's tough to – it's a tough school to get into. He's not dealing with, elite caliber athletes. But I also don't see him going to a major Power 5 job because it's kind of spurning his alma mater. So I think this is going to set up nice for Pat Fitzgerald. I hope he takes the job. I think he would do really good at it.
And on that tip, talking about the potential transition from college football to the NFL, it's a possibility for Pat Fitzgerald. It's obviously going to be 100% in the can for Trevor Lawrence to make that move.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.